Joining us now is the vice presidential nominee for the Republican side, and that is Indiana Governor, I guess former Indiana Governor, Mike Pence. Governor, good to see you. How are you?
I'm good, Sean. Still the governor of Indiana, but honored to be our party's nominee for vice president.
You know, it is a pretty interesting thing. I can think back to a number of vice presidential selections, and the first week is absolutely disastrous. I got to assume at this point you feel pretty good that things went rather well in terms of the media vetting, et cetera.
I couldn't be more proud of our party's efforts at the Republican National Convention. I thought you saw energy. I thought you saw enthusiasm. I thought our nominee did a phenomenal speech that really spoke into the very heart of where the American people's concerns lie today. I mean, focusing on security abroad, focusing on law and order at home, dealing with the issues in his forthright and candid way that he always has, I think is really sparked enthusiasm, not only in that hall in Cleveland, Sean, but really all over America. And as he and I hit the road today together, the crowds are overwhelming, the enthusiasm is real, and we're going to work our hearts out to bring home a great victory for the American people.
What do you make of the chaos and confusion going on here? I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is out. She got booed by the Florida delegation. Bernie Sanders said to his supporters to support Hillary, and there was the loudest booed. I played it earlier in the show for Donald Trump when he was with us. What do you make of the chaos? What do you make of all that's going on here?
Well, we've watched a little bit of it, and, you know, there was so much talk last week about division at the Republican National Convention, and frankly, you know, there was a lot of healthy debate, but I think what you saw that each and every night was people coming together around our agenda, around our candidate, around this team and this ticket. And I think what we're already witnessing there at the Democratic National Convention is really a party divided and a party that doesn't really have a message that's resonating with the American people. And I think the friction that's already evident there is probably going to be evident all week long. And I hope as the American people look in, they will sense the unity of our party, our determination to stand up for the issues the American people want us to address as a nation at home and abroad, and see that really this is a choice between real change in Washington, D.C. and a status quo that finds itself arguing with itself probably all the way through the end of this week.
What do you make of the corruption, the collusion? Donald Trump was one of the earliest people out there to say that this was a rigged system on the Democratic side, that they were being unfair to Bernie Sanders. It turns out to be true, and more importantly, we see racist statements and anti-Semitic statements and, you know, horrible names being called to women, and even one of my colleagues. And I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, if this was the RNC convention and the DNC and the RNC had said the things that the DNC said, it would be the biggest media story ever, and especially their influence over the media and colluding with the media. What is your reaction to all of this information?
Well, you know, I served with Bernie Sanders in Congress for about 6 years, and you know, he's a you know, as I always used to say, he's the nicest socialist I ever met, Sean. But we disagree on most things. But I know he's very sincere about his beliefs, and my heart goes out to him to realize that his own national party was working against him behind the scenes. I mean, if anything, when you watch the Republican primary process, as wide open as it was obvious that the Republican National Party, our chairman Reince Priebus, kept a level playing field. Everybody had a shot. It was a competitive race all the way to the Hoosier State, and I'm awful proud of the way our party conducted itself through that wild and woolly primary season.
You've been friends with him, your favorite socialist ever, as you say. What do you make of him falling on the sword and the reaction of his very supporters that are out there angry and booing tonight?
Well, I understand their frustration. I've found myself in the minority in my own party at times, back when I was battling against the big spenders in a Republican administration and big spenders in my own party on Capitol Hill when I was in Washington. Those were the days when you and I first got to know each other. But to really find themselves shut out, to look at a ticket that doesn't give voice to what obviously millions of Americans who align themselves with Bernie Sanders' message in their party and in their ticket, I think is frustrating to them, and I understand that. Look, but again, that's their party, and they can cry if they want to, as the songwriter says. I think our party was evidence of a level playing field. We all came together, and I think that you're seeing these national polls. There's real evidence that the American people are responding to Donald Trump's message of a stronger America at home and abroad, getting this economy moving again, getting serious about enforcing our laws, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this ticket.
You know, Governor, I want to ask you, you have reporters exposed for taking marching orders from the DNC. You have fake protesters. You have false narratives and false stories being leaked, not only about Bernie Sanders, but also about Donald Trump, who you're running with. They infiltrate the Bernie campaign, releasing false information. All of this together, and included, attacks on women, anti-Semitic attacks, seemingly racist attacks. When you put it all together, what does it tell you about the state of media and what the state of corruption? Because it's not just Bernie Sanders. Isn't it really about the voters that they're trying to disenfranchise?
Well, look, you and I know how monolithically liberal most in the national media are. You and many of our friends at Fox are such a happy exception to that. I can't tell you how much that means. But it's like I said last Wednesday night, the media is going to do half of Hillary's work for her. But fortunately, that's not going to be enough. I mean, we have a candidate in Donald Trump who is really connected with everyday Americans in a way that I haven't seen since our hero Ronald Reagan was running for president back in 1980. If Donald Trump is giving voice to the concerns and the aspirations of the American people, and I believe he is today and will continue to overcome that overwhelming bias in the media, and we're going to drive toward a great victory for the American people this November.
I'm not going to lie. I would rather be where you are. I think you're in North Carolina tonight. But don't worry, I'm the most conservative guy in all of Philly. I'll hold down the fort for everybody. So, Governor, thanks for being with us. We appreciate your time.